Hi everyone. Today I wanted to sort of talk about what it means to have a defined crown, or as it's referred to as the head center in human design. So what it's like to have a defined crown. This is not going to be a typical definition from a book kind of thing. It's more just my interpretation. Well, my interpretation of being defined in the crown is it's almost like having an anchor. You always have an anchor in life. You don't even know what that anchor is until you start to develop that anchor mentally. But what it starts to look like is you are grounded in a certain place within yourself that is separate from everything else. You're not flowing with the thoughts of others as often. You take them in, but you're grounded in a certain place. And being grounded in that certain place, you're able to clearly know what you are thinking or what you are trying to form as opposed to everyone else, logically. For me, I have the 61 channel connecting to the 24, and I'm always, like the definition says, always trying to figure out the unknowable. It's a mutative channel, or an individual mutative channel, so it's a very unique individual sort of impression and vision of how the world, of things in the world that that we are trying to distill to get to the bottom of. And I notice that when I am around other people that are not defined there, that I am able, because of this anchor that I have, I'm able to transmit from my head center to my third eye and down to my throat, because I have those connections through the 1156 in the throat. And I am able to conceptualize from that anchor point my thoughts about a specific topic, and I'm able to synthesize them through the 1156 into stories, into sort of analogies and, kind of curiosities. And just to clarify, the crown or head center is not a mental processing center. That would be the third eye or mind center, where I have 5 out of the 6 gates connected or active. And so I feel like going from the crown, if I were to describe it, it's like having you have a ground, a place where everything must come to, and be sort of deciphered and thought about in this one anchored place. And then it can go, I'm sure my thoughts get processed in all of those all those mental gates. I have all the gates except for gate 4, and I will sort of process that information that's coming in from the crown in that. You could almost say that maybe the mind center as well is, because it's defined, it's like having that same kind of anchor point, where all information is kind of coming into that center, but it's only coming in to the information is not swinging my mind. It's not causing my mind to flow with those thoughts and become those thoughts coming my way. It's more like the thoughts are out there coming to me, and I'm like, let me kind of play around with those thoughts and see how they mesh around with some of the other thoughts that I already have. And that's why it's a little bit more difficult for um, definition, people that have definition in their crown and their third eye to be taking on new ways of doing things. And it's not that you're stubborn in the sense of I won't do that thing, but you have your anchor already, and so you're not kind of looking to just like learn more and be taken away mentally by somebody else. You have that anchor already within the mind to rely on for yourself, and obviously to provide whatever that synthesis will be for others. If you have a connection to the throat, which I do, I don't have a motor to the throat, but I have my third eye connected there. So I hope that that kind of like helps a bit as far as what that means. And maybe I can actually add a little bit about what it would be if you didn't have it defined. If you didn't have your crown and your third eye defined, based on what I've seen, I see people that are not defined in their crown and third eye as sort of trying to float around in the thoughts of others and trying to figure out what is them. Obviously, most of the time that does not happen, because most of the time when you're not defined there, as according to Raw, we end up thinking about things that are not important. And you see that a lot with a lot of people. But those more academic, you see a lot of academics. Albert Einstein had, if I'm not mistaken, a open mental center. And so, and you see a lot of scientists like that, very able to take from the pieces of others who might have had their mind defined, but they are forming their own new thing. They're flexible in there. They don't have that mental anchor, and so they're not specifically here to have an anchor and then deliver some kind of a mental or spiritual higher truth of their own, perhaps. Not saying that they can't. Absolutely not saying that they can't, because they very much can. And actually, when an undefined mind center does come up with something worthwhile, it will rock. It will be amazing, because they have filtered through all sorts of other stuff that mentally defined person wouldn't have considered. Anyway, thank you guys so much, and I hope that was a little bit helpful with sort of kind of gaining some firsthand account of how mentally defined head and third eye kind of look like. Thank you.